Welcome to a new episode of Pedalboard Tips. For years I avoided using the effects loop of my amp because I thought it was too complicated to understand and to apply. And it turns out that it is not. If you understand the typical order of the pedals on a pedal board, you can totally understand FX loops. So let's say this is an overdrive pedal. The usual order on a pedal board would be to have your overdrives and distortion and your delays and reverbs after it, because you want your overdrive as the base to your sound and add your delays and reverbs underneath it. If we do the opposite, we are going to end up to distort our reverbs and delays, and it's going to end up in a mess of a sound. Now think of your amplifier as an overdrive pedal. The preamp section, as soon as you set up your amp to break up or to overdrive, is going to affect the pedals that are placed before it. So when you plug your cable from your guitar to your board and your whole board to the input of the amp, you are going to end up to overdrive all of your pedals, including your modulation and time-based and reverb effects. The FX loop is a solution to that. It's to bypass the preamp section that is going to overdrive your sound and put all of your modulation and time-based effect after it where they belong. So if you want to use an FX loop, you are going to need two sets of two cables. The first cable will go to your first pedals, and as soon as you reach your last overdrive or distortion on your board, you already plug it into the input of your amplifier. Then you use your second sets of cables. The first one comes from the send of the amp to your first modulation or delay or reverb pedal, and from the last pedal of your board, you send another cable back to the return of your amp. That way, your modulation and time-based effects are placed after the drive from your amp, and it sounds much better. Now the sub question to it is, do I really need to use the FX loop of my amp? And especially in the ambient guitar genre, we don't always need it. In my case, I know that I don't need it because I set up my amp so clean that even if my delays and reverbs are placed before the preamp section, they are not going to be overdriven because my amp is very, very clean on my setup. So I don't feel the need to use an FX loop for that. Maybe I'm giving up on a little bit of body to the sound if it was on the edge of breakup, but I prefer it because it's an easier setup with less cables and sends and return, so it's easier to use and plug. If I helped you to understand FX loop better, please give a big thumbs up to this video and subscribe to my channel. It's already the Pedalboard Tips number 31, so there's a lot of stuff to discover on my channel. Until next time, au revoir!